Hey, this is Steve Pierce with Wireless Ipsy and HDL.com. I want to show you today how to set up an OD2 Meraki radio for an outdoor installation. When you get the radio, you'll notice that it's got the green connectors here, and here is the cover plate for the Ethernet connectors. First thing to do is get the screws out of the package, put the rubber grommets on the short screws, and put the screws in each of the three holes. Then take a little Scotch tape and put it over each of the screw holes, and that keeps the screws from falling out. And this is going to be very important when you're up on a pole. The next thing to do is we typically do a pole mount. There's a couple ways that you can mount these brackets. You can put the brackets on the radio this way and screw it to the wall, or you can do a vertical mount and then attach it to a pole with hose clamps. The problem is you'll notice when you put the clamp over, it covers up the door, and it makes it difficult to take the door out when you're on the pole. So one of the things that we do is we cut the ends off of one of the brackets. You'll see a complete bracket here, and we've trimmed the ends off. You just cut it right about in the middle of one end, and we use wire cutters or nippers to cut those off. And then go ahead, while you're on the ground, mount the screws through the two holes, but it'll clear the plate. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. See, it'll clear the plate when you mount the holes, when you mount the bracket, and then you'll be able to take this bracket, to take the cover and take it on and off easily without having to remove this mounting bracket or the hose clamps. And then go ahead and affix, there's two screws that go through to hold this in place, and then go ahead and take your hose clamps and put them around. Now another secret is slide the hose clamps in before you screw this down. That way you don't have to undo the hose clamps, and get the appropriate size hose clamp for the pole that you're going to mount to. So that's how you'll bundle this together. Now when you're tying this all together, you want to make sure that this green gasket is in place. You're usually only going to use one Ethernet. Now make sure you use an outdoor rated Ethernet cable. So you're going to cover up one of the holes with the little plastic stopper, leave the other one dangling, and then you go ahead and lay the cable in here and plug it into, and you're going to plug it into the radio that is labeled number 1. And so that is, when you're looking at the device, it's going to be on the left-hand side where I'm pointing here. You'll plug that cable in, lay that across here, and then you'll snap the cover in place. And because we've put tape over the holes, that'll keep the screws from falling out. So when you're up on the pole or you're doing any work, you'll be able to screw these down. Don't over tighten those, just a nice snug fit, and that'll get a good seal here and keep any bugs or water from getting in. Now the last tip during the installation is for the antenna. There'll be a white gasket, and that's right here, that will be over this antenna. We found, coming from manufacturing, that some of the brackets of the antennas are loose, and so very carefully take a pair of pliers and tighten that lock nut to make sure that the antenna mount doesn't work itself loose. So just very gently tighten that lock nut and that lock washer to make sure that holds that in place. Then make sure that you put the white gasket on top of the antenna. It will already be there, but put that back. And then screw in the antenna, and you're going to give it a little bit of force where it will bulge the gasket out, but just a little bit, not very much. And then here's the critical point that people forget. You then take this white collar and you slide it down, and that will give you a nice, good waterproof and dust-proof seal. Slide that down, and it'll be bunched up a little bit on one side, but it'll be okay there. Then that's it. That's all you need to do on the outdoor install. Now another problem that we have with these installations is some Ethernet jacks don't work. Here's the power over Ethernet adapter. This is not outdoor rated, so this needs to be inside. So you'll run that Cat5 wire inside the building or inside a box, and then you're going to plug this power supply into the a hole here for the power, and that's going to give the power to the radio. There's two ends, a red end and a black end. The red end goes to the radio, the access point that's up on the pole. What we have found is some Ethernet jacks, when you crimp them down, don't fit in here correctly. You'll click them in, but they won't snap, they won't click and lock in. They'll just fall right out. You have to be very careful with that. And so one of the things that we found, and this is a little dangerous, so you've got to be careful with this, but we'll use a knife and up here where the release clip is on the Ethernet, we'll notch that just a little bit so that that release clip will fit in there and lock in place. Be very careful when you're doing that with a knife, but you can take a little bit of the white material away, and that will allow you to get that to snap in. Not always, not all the time, but we do find with some of the Ethernet jacks. The black connector is what's going to go to, if this is going to be plugged in as a gateway, and is going to act as supplying internet connectivity to the access point, you're going to plug that into your router or to your switch that's connected to the internet. So that's an overview of doing an OD2 install. If you've got any questions, just contact us on the web at hdl.com. And again, this is Steve with wireless and hdl.com. Thanks for listening.